to the Measured Pencil. I'm Stephen Murray, and I am here with pencil expert Wes Nelson.
Hello.
That's it? Nothing to complain about?
What are you saying? That all I do is complain?
No, it's just sometimes it's hard to get the show going on enough energy, you know? You got to dig deep.
I think that's a fair way to get me going, is to manufacture energy by getting me riled up. I've been told that I'm not happy unless I'm unhappy. So, fair point.
Well, we're going to make you ecstatic by the end of this. Anyhow.
Wait, which way does that mean?
Ooh, we'll have to find out. Joining us again, we had him back, is Jake Whiteoak.
Jake's the best.
Last time he was here, he taught us a whole bunch about the process of machining pencils and extruding and how it's all manufactured.
I went to a couple of machine shops and pretended like I knew what I was talking about. I was summarily kicked out, so we had him back so we could learn some more. I could learn some more.
So welcome back to the show, Jake.
Thanks for having me again, guys.
Anytime. This time we have a more specific question for you. We're going to play Guess Which One's More Expensive. We put two r0trings in front of you. You're going to go through and look at the design and tell us about what the process would be to manufacture these and which you think has more work, and therefore which one you were going to guess costs more. And for our diehard listeners who are up on all the r0tring episodes, you'll be able to tell, hopefully, which one he's talking about by the cues we're giving.
Hopefully, at the end of this, not only will you be able to tell which one's more expensive, but you'll be able to tell us what you think they should cost, and then we'll tell you what they actually cost, and we'll see what kind of drama ensues from that.
I hope there's going to be showcase music in the back while this is happening.
Absolutely, yeah.
And
if you guess right, you can earn both showcases.
Sweet. Yeah, just an asterisk. I am not an expert in any of this, so you can't...
We're cutting all that. Everything you said.
That's the fun of the game.
I don't want to make the purists of these fine pieces. I don't need any more enemies.
Just
so
don't go on Reddit after that.
All right, that's fair. Okay, so we definitely have some multiple operations on them. We've got some different colors between them, and there's something kind of different between the series I'm noticing. So there's a 600 and 800, but they're all the same size because they're all saying 0.7 millimeters. So I'm guessing it's the same lead size,
yep.
But it's interesting. They look really similar, other than the 600 has this kind of little window on the end of the barrel with the knurling. There's like a machined pocket out of it. They've put some text in it that says HB.
That's the hardness indicator for the lead. So that's how soft or hard the lead is. You can swivel that around based on what lead you put in there.
Whoa! All right. So that's awesome. That's great. Okay. Well, I just learned something new as well. So just from that aspect, looking between the 600 and 800, right? So we got a couple different operations. There's multiple pieces to the body. So you've got your main body, you've got your end. That's knurled. Opening this up, we have some awesome, really fine threads.
He's got the 800 in his hands. Listeners.
Everything looks like it's probably potentially either polished, machined very nice, or has some type of e-nickel finish or something of sort, because it almost looks chrome in appearance, but it's not chrome.
What's e-nickel?
E-nickel is just a really cheap way you can coat things is zinc.
Okay.
And zinc tends to turn things yellow. So you'll see it in a lot of nuts and bolts and stuff like that. And then there's better processes out there, e-nickel, which is electroless nickel.
Oh.
And the nice part about it is that you don't actually have to use electrical current through the parts to get them to pull the coating material in. It actually is just a chemical reaction, and the e-nickel will bond itself to the surface of it. But the nice thing about e-nickel is that it has a better corrosion resistance, and it has just a really nice appearance to it. And because more people are using it, it now became a cheaper process to use.
Sure.
Chrome is a very expensive process. You should only be using chrome if you really, really feel like you want that specific look. But you can take something that's coated in e-nickel or just machined well, and you can just buff it really nice, and you'll get really close to a chrome appearance.
Oh, okay.
Chrome's very expensive. And also the process is very toxic and stuff like that. So a lot of places are just not trying to use that. It's an expensive thing to use. So looking on the inside, you've kind of got the mechanical parts inside, very small machined parts. This kind of tiny little spring barrel. You've got different turns in here that I'm guessing will then make sure that this internal part catches within the bottom of kind of the tip. So nothing's wiggly. Nothing looks really cheap. These springs are really nice, very smooth.
What makes a nice spring?
It's smooth.
Okay.
And to make really good springs, what you have to do is you run them through dies, you create that shape, and then you can do different types of heat treating. Heat treating meaning you're raising the temperature up at it, and that will cause the grain structure of the material to change. You can make things harder. You can make things softer. You can make them stronger. Typically, you're using heat treating to make things stronger. And then what you can do is you can anneal them where you heat them up but not as hot, and then cool them down very slow. An old annealing process is where you see a glowing sword be dunked into that. They're annealing it. That sword is being made stronger by the heat, but if it weren't to cool down like that, it'd be very brittle. So by annealing it, now you have a strong material, but it has some type of what's all the proper? I'm trying to think of the properties for it, but it makes them more flexible, malleable. You don't want things to be brittle or they just break.
Sure.
I really like this style of pen, and looking at between these ones, I would say that I'm going to say the 600 appears the most expensive to me. The reasons why, twofold. It has that window on it where you can spin it. That means there's a custom piece inside it with this text, and I don't know if this barrel works the same because obviously it has a functionality where it can spin and highlight these different ones versus the other ones. You've got multiple colors, this black and this kind of silver finish, but it's the same pieces. Well, this isn't the same piece, so this makes this piece unique. Also, the green. Green is not a common color. Not to say that you can't anodize things in other colors. These appear to be anodized to me. And anodizing black is definitely the most common. And there's also a coating called E-coat, which is an industrial use.
Sure.
A lot of people use it, so it became a very cheap thing to coat parts with. As far as anodizers go, there are lots of things get black E-coat. Even this microphone stand probably potentially has E-coat on it. Common finishes, right? It's going to be cheaper. This silver might not even be anodized. It might just be the raw material buffed.
Okay.
So that can be done relatively easy. But the green's not a super common color. It also is a really dark kind of green. And to me, then that also pokes out that it might be a custom color to them. Or they found someone who had a color that they liked and they're utilizing that color. But again, it's just not common as much as the other colors can be. So I'm saying that this has potentially a custom color to it, the extra operations of this kind of custom piece for the hardness. So I'm going to go ahead and say the 600 is the most expensive.
Now, before we ask you if that's your final answer, I'm going to have you click out lead in both of those.
So I just tried the 600. Feels good. Feels precise. I tried the 800. Oops. Do I have to unlock this?
Nope.
Oh.
Snap.
There's a hidden operation in the
snap.
800.
Oh,
It's
snap.
got this twist and lock. So definitely way more complicated.
Why? What makes it more complicated?
I guess I don't have anything to back that up, but there are mechanical differences between this. And when I think of most mechanical pens, the push down, which is just compressing the spring, those pieces that are turned at those different sizes catch, and then they go back up. That's a really easy mechanical function. For this twist and lock to happen, there's internal features in here that were milled out and have catches on them so that you can push this in. It does lock.
Yeah.
Oof, that is hard. And also, I don't know which one they sell more of.
Oh,
Again,
okay.
if I sell more of the complicated one, it's just going to be cheaper. But I still think the 600, I'm going to stick with the 600 because of the color and the additional kind of indicator versus just maybe a little bit of different in the mechanical piece of it, because they both share the same clip design, body design. So really the difference between these ones is a little bit on the mechanical side on the inside, but the 600's got this custom window that would have to be pressed in there or glued or something, and that's not a fast process.
Sure.
I can machine fast, but if I've got to insert that and hold it there and stuff like that, that slows it down. So I'm going to stick with the 600.
So Jake, would you be surprised to learn that the 800 is the more expensive pencil?
Then it comes down to that kind of internal mechanism. It must be a premium version to have that mechanism versus the very simple one. And again, I don't know all the in workings of it, but yeah, if it's more expensive. Now, with the 800 being more expensive, is it limited to numbers? Do they only make so many of these? Or can you always go on and buy an 800 and buy a 600?
Yeah, you can get...
Okay.
If you were going to hazard a price point for each one, where would you start? Where would you go?
I would say, I love the weight of these things. I would say an 800 cost $60.
Hey! Ding, 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 ding. Absolutely.
Damn, sweet.
Also, I believe there's more brass, if not...
I do see that.
Yeah.
It's definitely... And I don't know this. It'd be interesting to know if it's real brass.
Okay.
Because brass is really easy to machine, which makes it great.
Yeah.
But
soft,
it's soft, which doesn't make it a great industrial product. It also corrodes, as you see old copper roofs and stuff like that, and they patina. Brass likes to patina as well. So it's just not a common. A lot of times you use brass because you really want that soft property of it. Brass hammers, you use it to hit it so it doesn't mar the thing that you're trying to force or whatever, do that percussion maintenance onto.
Sure.
So
percussion maintenance.
I would say that this probably isn't real brass and that this is some type of aluminum, or maybe it's a nice pen, so I don't want to say tin.
Yeah.
People might get mad about that, but it might just be, it's probably some type of just outside operation. So a zinc or something. It doesn't look anodized. It looks very nice and polished or machined very well, but I'd put money down and it's not actual brass.
Okay. Now the 600, what price point would you put that one at?
Okay, so knowing that it's cheaper and it's using the same body, then I'm going to say that the 600 is $45.
I believe it's around 30, 35.
Okay, so half the cost of the
they
800.
probably produce a lot of those, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be interesting to know what are their production numbers are.
And the curveball is that the color you're holding is, that maybe wasn't fair to put that one in there, because that kind of skewed your analysis. But
is that a very common color to them?
The price point on that is pretty much the same as a silver or a black.
Oh, interesting. So again, they could have a long-standing supplier who potentially uses that color.
And they have a blue and they have a red.
Also, they might just make additions and take the hit on margins.
Oh, really?
Just to push something out, to
like
give
a loss
something
leader
new
or something like
yeah,
that.
Not to jump gaps, but you always hear about like PlayStations and Xbox. They lose money on those consoles.
Right.
They're actually so expensive to make, but they know they make their money up on other stuff. Now, I don't know if they also produce lead, right? They're not selling these at a loss, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting.
Like how consoles make their money on their games.
Correct.
They lock you into.
If I make pens, it would be great to make lead as well, or also, it's probably pretty easy to make that stuff. So you might make a paint sprayer, but you don't make the paint.
Sure. So the big knock on the 800 is that if you push some lead out and then try and write with it, tell us if you notice a wiggle, because this gets so much hate. Do you feel that at all?
Just are you
tip.
saying the tip of it moving?
Yeah.
Or the barrel of it?
Push the lead into the paper.
Okay.
And then and then move the...
Oh.
Do you feel that?
Okay, yeah. There's some...
Yeah.
Kind of seems like you call it slop on it.
So people will say that at $60 that it should not have that. And I would agree.
Oh, interesting. I don't have as much slop on the 600.
And the 600 doesn't have it, yeah.
Yeah, interesting. So that's got to be something. I mean, both of them look like the part that comes out at the very end looks very similar, but depending on how this mechanism in there, right, you're turning something clockwise to hold something moving up and down.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where it has to have some type of clearance in there, versus this can all be held on the 600 very close tight because it only has a mechanism that is moving linear to itself.
I see. So you're losing something by adding the extra twist click to retract the...
Just from that aspect, I'm pro 600.
Yeah, a lot of people are.
Yeah.
Especially with that and the pricing included.
Yeah.
But the knock on the 600 is that the lead doesn't retract, so the tip doesn't retract.
I find the action of pushing the lead back in very satisfying.
Right, but then if you drop that...
I've bent the tip
By
dropping it.
Oh, sure.
I was able to bend mine back into shape and it still functions,
Okay.
but that's a very common...
And it's common to the point that Jet Pen sells that particular... They sell like that body.
You can rebuy the barrel of
Yeah,
it. Great.
the knurling
So I just
with
want to
the-
make sure that we're on the same page in this. It broke because you dropped it.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I just want to make sure because, as a person who deals with warranty claims.
No, I'm not trying to scam r0tring, but the retractable lead sleeve on the 800
Seems
is a
to
nice
not
feature.
really because it's easier to fix or it doesn't
Because
break.
you could drop that and it presumably wouldn't break.
Why? Because the mechanism will go back in
Because it wouldn't be exposed.
because the lead's not exposed.
Right. Like if you retract the lead and now there's nothing
Oh, but what happens if you dropped it in the form?
Oh, then it's
it
gonna
would
break.
be.
Then it's gonna
Oh,
break. Yeah.
okay. Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
Just don't drop it.
Just don't drop it.
that's part of it for
Yeah.
sure. But it doesn't matter how much you want to design something for the intent of how me, the engineer, believes it should be used.
Yeah.
You need to design it for the use of the customer.
Sure.
And the best thing you can ever do when designing stuff is in pre-production, get parts out, make them,
Yeah.
send them out, give them out free. Give people a chance to read it, and you will find out people are doing things you never, ever expected. And then if you want to, it gives you a chance to say, hey, I didn't think people were going to use that as a pry bar,
Yeah.
but maybe we can make that body a little bit stronger and then it'll be more resistant to that.
Sure.
Right? Now I have a better designed product. I never thought in the whole time I had to worry about this shaft being broken, but
Yeah.
you send it out to 100 people and 37 of them come back and be like, oh, I broke the shaft.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's a bad design. It doesn't matter how you thought you were going to use it.
I see.
In the end, you sold it to a customer. It's not that they're always right, but it's information. It's how do you make something better? And I believe when you take that type of data backwards, you can start to get the best of both worlds of what you want, right?
So it's being humble. It's listening to how people are using it
Oh,
and not being
absolutely,
so
right?
stubborn that you think that your
I
idea...
think, oh yeah, I'm not going to slam this thing down when I put this the pencil lead back in, but you're going to have people that feel different about that.
Yeah.
Maybe they forget what happens when I don't press this down and then push it in. What happens to the mechanism when it's forced back? Does it then break the lead inside and now I have to push all of it out? Oh,
Right.
well, maybe I can design it where if too much pressure goes up, the spring lets go so that the insert never breaks.
It's a different episode, but that one does that. Click it out and then push.
There we go. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's great. So take this mechanism, put it in your 800. Now
We're a step closer to our
I'm just
measured
saying.
pencil.
I'm just saying.
Well, thank you. This has been such a wonderful birth of information.
That was really fun. Very
Yeah.
surprising.
Yeah. We're glad you came back and hope you come back again in the future.
I love hanging with you guys.
Sweet.
Excellent. Well, thank you for listening to The Measured Pencil. Catch us next time.
Goodbye.
This was The Measured Pencil with Wes Nelson and Stephen Murray. Theme song and additional music composed and performed by Josh Baumgartner. Additional production support by Two Desk Productions. If you want to see what the pencils look like, please follow us on Instagram at The Measured Pencil. If you'd like to share your pencil story, please record a short audio file, maybe 1 to 2 minutes, and email it to us at themeasuredpencil@gmail.com. Or, if you'd like us to review your favorite pencil, please email us with the name and it might appear on a future episode. Thanks for listening.